Welcome back to the garage. Or if you're new to the channel and this is the first video of mine that you've seen, welcome to the garage. My name is Zane. This will be the first full-length video of 2022. I haven't put a video out in a while, so I just have to ask, did you miss me?
Of course.
A new year is already underway here at the garage, so the first thing that I really need to do is have a nice talk with the very generous investors of this channel. There's a lot of people that pull the strings behind the scenes. I need to talk to them and give them an update on what was accomplished in this last year, plans that I have in store for the projects this year. So I probably need to change out of this, wear something a little bit more appropriate, have a video chat with them. So without further ado, to the war room.
And Jack, he's standing by. Can you get him up on the screen?
Sure.
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you. We're looking forward to the results.
Well, to be completely honest with you, in 2021, I was pretty lazy and I didn't really get a lot done on any of the projects.
What a shock that is.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely hilarious. I appreciate the joke, but in all seriousness, though, I've looked through my records, I've done some research, and I do believe that if I start tearing into these projects a little bit further, getting stuff accomplished on them like I've been talking about for the last year, I'm almost 99.99% that I will make it to 20,000 subscribers by the end of this year.
Great work. I love the 99.99. We don't get that ever.
This is big.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We will be in touch. Really appreciate it. Excellent report. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful news. I'm glad we're all on the same page. In all seriousness, though, I hope you understand the source material for the meme that I just left you there. I've been thinking about doing that one for a while. It's probably not going to be as funny as I'm thinking it is in my head, but now let's actually get to work. Well, the poor old truck knows what's in store for it. I was planning on getting it running, pulling it into the garage, and removing the engine inside of the garage. But this old truck's putting up a fight. I think the float is stuck in the carburetor. Even though I rebuilt it, it has sat all winter. And there might have been a little bit more junk left inside of it. Float's stuck and it doesn't want to idle. So we'll have to do this the hard way. I guess we're going to start the old TD6, pull this truck up where it's level. It looks like I'm removing the engine outside. Let's see if third time's the charm. I have a lot of people asking about cold starts. I know people love to watch them. It's not even really that cold outside. It's probably in the mid-30s. And that's the reality of the situation sometimes. This machine is old. It's pretty much worn out by anybody else's standards. I use it around my property for my own personal use. But if you were to try to dig basements every day with this machine, it's just sadly worn out. I could probably shoot ether into this engine, but at the same time it could grenade it. I mean, the old thing's just seen a lot of hard use, and sometimes when it's cold like this, some machines just won't start. I don't really like being aggravated on camera, but there's a lot more work that goes into these videos than you would ever think. I mean, my forklift that's behind the camera right now won't start. The TD6 won't start, the backhoe won't start unless I ether it either. The forklift is about the only thing that runs, or my Bobcat that has forks on it. It didn't do a very good job of pulling this truck up here. I got it in about the worst location I could ever plan on to try to pull the engine out of it. It's close to this little dozer that probably won't start since it's cold either. So I'm pretty aggravated. I was going to try to get this hood taken off and the engine pulled out today, but sometimes it's just better to go in the house and come back with a different attitude. So we'll flash forward the video to Sunday and see what we can get done then. So now it's a new day and a mostly new attitude. I really need to get some work done on this truck. It's late after work. It's going to get dark very soon, so I need to make this little introduction very short and sweet. But I need to get some work done because today it is 51 and tomorrow it's going to be 21 degrees. So the first order of business is to drain the coolant out of this engine. You might be able to just barely see what I'm trying to do, but I'm loosening the drain valve at the bottom of the radiator to try to let this coolant out. International was smart enough to drill a hole in this cross member so the fluid won't run down the frame. So much for that. All this old wiring on the hood and front end of the truck is brittle, so I just cut it to get it out of the way. The other side hood hinge pin came out, but the driver's side one here needs chopped off, so I'm going to get the grinder with a cut-off wheel, knock that off of there, and I should be able to get this hood out of the way. How nice. It wasn't even bolted on the other side. Have to try to get this engine plate on here pretty quick. Undo the bell housing bolts because I'm losing daylight fast. So the engines in the pickup trucks are set forward just a little bit so you can get to the bell housing bolts easier. In these big trucks, they sit back further, so these bell housing bolts can be a pain to get to. I'm running into the problem that somebody's been in here before. Like I mentioned, this engine has a rebuilder's tag, so it's been out of the truck, and the fasteners are not the size they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be 3/4 inch bolts that hold this engine to the transmission, and I'm running into all different sizes, so it's probably going to be a little bit getting these bolts out of here. Probably flash forward to trying to get the engine out of the truck. So there you have it, a successfully removed engine from a parts truck. Just whenever it looked like all else failed and the Bobcat wasn't the right piece of machinery for the job, it was standing on its tiptoes, not doing a very good job of removing the engine due to the fact that the input shaft was getting caught in the clutch pack, It done the unthinkable. It removed the engine from this truck. I easily moved it over to the side and set the engine right here. Now you might be wondering why the clip just ended of me removing the engine and I'm talking about it instead of showing it. Well, that's the fact that the camera just decided to shut itself off about a minute into recording the whole process go down. Isn't that nice?
Are you kidding me?
I really can't be too aggravated at myself because, in all honesty, I just lost footage of working on an old truck. I mean, this wasn't any kind of life or death situation caught on camera. I feel bad for you viewers out there because you probably watched the video for this exact moment when I removed the engine from this truck. Who knows how long it's been since the engine was removed to be rebuilt and put back in there? I've really got no idea. I do want to say I apologize. There's just nothing that I can do. I can't get the footage back. The camera turned off completely, and it is pretty aggravating. I don't like mentioning the type of camera that I use anymore because I've had so many problems with them. I don't want to give them any kind of free advertisement. At this point, I wouldn't even advertise them if they paid me. But just something to think about. This action camera brand is made for base jumpers, skydivers, free climbers on the sides of mountains, and I could not imagine how aggravating it would be to lose footage of doing something like that. Now these cameras, in the heat, in the summertime, the sun will bear down on them, cause them to overheat, and they'll shut themselves off. And now something that I'm learning is, if you're outside in the extreme cold, it eats up the battery. And that's exactly what happened. I turned the camera on with about 30% of the battery. It recorded for a minute and shut off completely. It's aggravating, to say the least, but at the same time, there is still a silver lining to this whole process, even though I had such a miserable time.
Surely you can't be serious.
Well, yes, I actually am being serious, probably more serious than I ever have been at the end of one of these videos before. That silver lining that I'm talking about is the fact that no matter how bad the situation is, there's almost always something to be thankful for. Now, I may have lost a few minutes of footage in the cold of working on that haunted wrecker that's sitting outside, but really when you think about it, that's nothing compared to what a lot of people are dealing with. I get a lot of comments of people that are dealing with sick family members, or they have an illness themselves. Some people are disabled and they can't go outside and really do much of anything. And when I stand back and think I had a bad day of working on that truck, that's really nothing compared to what a lot of people are dealing with. I've got a lot to be thankful for. I've got a fantastic family that would pretty much do anything for me. I've got a pretty good job, and more importantly, I'm healthy enough to go outside and work on stuff. Now, I don't mean that in a braggadocious way, but it really makes things seem that those problems I had really weren't that big at all. I usually have a lot more commentary during the video, but I was dealing with the cold so bad. You probably know how that is. When you're out in the cold, your face starts to hurt. You really don't want to say much. So this video wasn't like my typical ones. If you've tuned in for the first time, this probably isn't going to be that good of a video. But I just wanted to leave you with that, to really think about your problems in a different light. And sometimes they're really not that bad. But instead of saying my usual go outside and work on something, especially since it's cold, I'll leave you with this. Be kind to one another. If nothing else, be kind. My name is Zane, and I hope to catch you next time.